What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is your review for the Belle Collective, Season 1, Episode 3. So we start this episode off. We have Miss Tambra, the one whose birthday it was last week, meeting with her parents, having lunch with her parents. And listen, her parents have been married. They've known each other since high school. They've been married for 50-something years. And of course, they are looking at her like, girl, why you not married? What's going on? And she's, talking to them about the fact that, listen, I would love to be married and have a family, but it's y'all's fault. Y'all spoiled it for everybody else. Because y'all been married so long, and I grew up seeing this, and this is what I always wanted. And she had been in a relationship for 16 years, but for whatever reason that ended. And of course, Mama was like, well, that's my vote, but ain't nobody asked me. And I feel you, Tambra. I feel you, because my parents have been married for 55 years. And they've known each other since middle school, okay? Got married, like, at 19. So I get it. I absolutely get it. I understand what you talking about. Girl, I tell my parents the same thing. Like, it's your fault that I'm not married. I don't know if they pay attention, listen, or believe me, but it is what it is. But she talked about basically her career goals is to get on be on a talk show, be national, be nationally, get out of the radio local and be on a national scale. So there's that. Then we see Antoinette. I don't know why I want to keep calling that woman Simone, but then we see Antoinette, Latrice, and Antoinette's friend. They all meet up at Antoinette's space where she's having her dental office being built. She just talked about being the only one of 4 black people in her class and dental school, and how hard it was, and that this is just her goal. Now she said something I thought was interesting. She said, well, why else would you go to be a dentist if you didn't want to own your own dental practice? And I'm like, that's not everybody's goal. That's not everybody's goal to own their own practice. Some people are fine just doing the practice, and but whatever. I'm not gonna harp on it. I ain't gonna harp on that. And then they proceeded to be, they started talking about the party. Now listen, Antoinette, I'm gonna give you a little something right here. You repeated that story wrong. You and not Latrice, Latisse. Tease? Oh, God, I got that woman name wrong last week too. But y'all were both kind of, clearing the air and joking, and you said something about coming for her. She said, yeah, I ain't worried about it. I won't be saying nothing about your wig being back. And the way you repeated the story is not the same as what she had said, okay? But all right, whatever. Y'all was being shady. Y'all was having y'all little shady moment. You even admitted, when I get around Latrice, I can't help it. I'm shady. When I get around Latrice, I just be shady. I don't know why. I can't help myself. Now, Marie is at home with 2 out of the 3 grandkids, talking about how she's taking care of this whole family. And we found out that her husband's situation, they was married, then they got divorced, and they got remarried. And we're going to get to more of that situation a little bit later on down the road. But so the husband is there, she's there, she got the 2 grandkids out of the 3, and the 2 baby mamas come to pick the grandkids up, and she asked the first baby mama, hey, have you seen or talked to my son? And she was like, nah, I ain't talked to him, he don't do nothing for me. When I call him, he don't answer the phone, that's why I call you. And then the second baby mama show up, and you could tell there's tension between the first baby mama and the second baby mama. Now the first baby is 1, the second baby is 5 months. So clearly there was some if it wasn't an overlap, it was close. But they didn't start no mess in Miss Marie house. They didn't say nothing nasty to each other. They even kind of gave each other the little head nod, but they ain't speak or nothing like that. But they didn't do nothing out of the ordinary. So Marie asked the second baby mama, the one of the 1-year-old, have you talked to my son? And she says, yeah, he's staying with me. And she was like, oh, okay, he's staying with you. Okay, cool. Now we find out later on in the episode. I'll get there. I'll get there. I'll get there. So that was sort of what happened with that. So Latrice is meeting with her business manager, her PR, not business manager, but her PR. Tina, I believe her name is. They're meeting, and the phone rings, and it's Zaddy. Okay, it's Zaddy. And Zaddy is like, what's, where you doing? What you doing? You ain't home? I don't know where you are. What's going on? And she said, well, I'm meeting with Tina. We talking about the products. We talking about, the launch for the hair care line. And he was like, wait a minute. How y'all gonna be sitting there meeting and you ain't invite me? And she said, look, we just, like, it's not a big deal. If you want to come, we down to the spot, the Boobaloos, I think it's called. If you want to come down, come on down. And so he comes down. And he like, listen, I'm a little upset right now because I don't understand why, y'all having this business meeting and I'm a VP and I'm not even here. And Latrice was like, girl, he is really serious about this whole VP role. And I'm like, yeah, he is. He invested his money and he is serious about a VP role. And Tina was like, well, I just know what Latrice likes. Like, we didn't call you because I just know what Latrice likes. And baby, he was like, so how y'all gonna be coming up with packaging without running it past me? How y'all gonna be coming up with this without talking to me about it? How y'all gonna be deciding on this without talking to me about it? And I'm like, Latrice, you got a problem on your hands, baby. And I'm gonna tell you why you got a problem on your hands, baby. Because this man has put his money in and he expects to have full influence on the conversation and what ends up happening. I'm just letting you know. And I'm not saying he shouldn't. I mean, if he put his money in, then listen, then he absolutely should, feel the way he feel about it. But girl, later on in the episode, we saw them hanging out by the pool, and he said he built that pool specifically for her. It don't go up above 5 feet because she can't swim and she's scared to swim, and he's trying to teach her how to swim, child. Anyway, child. So Marie goes to see Letitia. And Maria's telling Letitia, so first of all, she's like, I really appreciate how you was trying to make me talk to them people. I ain't messing with them people. I don't rock with them people. I don't appreciate you trying to make me talk to them people. And she said, listen, I just know that we all are bosses around here. And I just want you to get past it. And don't let nobody control your emotions. Don't let nobody have that much control over your emotions like that. And she was just like, whatever. No, Then they got to talking about her home situation. And we find out what's going on with her son and why she don't know where her son is. So listen, here's the story. Her son, it was time for her son to go to college. She wanted her son to go to Jackson State because it was close to home, so he'd be close to his 3 babies. He wanted to go away to school because he wanted to go away to school, probably go make some more babies. And she thought that they had agreed that he was going to go to Jackson State. She wakes up, he packing up his bags. He has decided that he's going to go to the school 3 hours away. Now, there are a lot of gaps in that story that I'm going to get back to in a second. I'm just going to tell y'all the story, then I'm going to get back to what my mind and what I'm thinking. So she and her son end up getting into an argument. And he proceeds to cuss her out. I mean, he's cussing at her, he's cussing to her, he's cussing around her. And then he punched holes in the wall, and one of the holes was directly next to her head. Now, she has the whole incident on tape because she said that she's gotten in the habit of recording whenever her and her sons get into any type of a conflict. She's gotten into the habit of recording it because they like to run back to their grandparents and tell one side of the story, and then it's her word against theirs, and the grandparents take up for the kids. And so it's this her way of documenting how the whole conversation went rather than their version of the story. Now, that already tells me there's some dysfunction going on in that family, because let me explain. As much as I love my parents, as much as I do, if I have children, they just don't have that much influence over what goes on in my home. My kids can call them all they want. What they gonna do about it? Like, I love you, mama, and I love you, daddy, but you don't have no control over how I'm disciplining my kids. I mean, unless it's abusive. But if they call you and say, hey, mama cussed me out, my mama gonna say, well, what did you do? And if she felt like their version of the story didn't link up, she's gonna call me and we're gonna have a conversation. But what's she gonna do about it? But that's another conversation. Now, And she said she told him to get out of the house. Um, and that's how the argument started. Matter of fact, and she was like, basically, if you ain't gonna go to Jackson State, then you can get the hell out. Like, if you think you grown, and you go off and you be grown. Now, here's the thing, y'all. I got questions. I've been to college, okay, and my parents weren't rich. But for my first 2 years in college, I didn't have student loans. I didn't. So my parents paid for college, right? Um, How you ain't know he was going to Jackson State until the day he was packing his bags to leave? You ain't put no room deposit down on a dorm. I mean, it's if he was going to college 3 hours away, that means he needed some place to stay. You didn't put no deposit on no. You didn't pay a tuition check. I mean, did he take out student loans and he was paying for it out of the student loan money? Did you send Jackson State money and thought that's where he was going, and that's why you got so pissed off? Because you was like, hold up, I didn't send them Jackson State people a whole tuition check and room and board. Well, I guess it wouldn't need room and board, but like, I don't understand how you didn't know until the day he was packing his bags to leave that he was going somewhere else. Now, granted, if he was over 18, he didn't have to go through you, and he could have created his own accounts and created his own debt and had his own student loans. I get it. But I don't understand how you ain't know nothing until the morning he was leaving. That part of the story just don't make no sense to me, Marie. Now, that don't defend nothing he did. Because on that tape, it was bad. The way he talked to his mama, it was bad. Okay? It was bad. Now, of course, Letitia said all the stuff that a friend says. Listen, girl, I got your back. God ain't going to put you through it. God ain't going to give it to you if he can't help you get through it. You know, all of the things that we say, all the good things that you say. And she was there for, she was there to listen and all of that good stuff. And she said, well, maybe you need to sit down and have a conversation, and y'all need to figure it out. Like, it's, I hate the fact that you're not speaking to him. And she told her, she said, listen, you were a good mother. And I think all mothers need to hear that when they're going through things with their children. I mean, if they were good mothers. And for as much as Marie has been getting on my nerves, the fact that Marie is making sure that his children are good, even in the midst of him creating 3 children in 1 year with 3 different women, which is disrespectful as hell to all people involved. The fact that you are making sure that those kids are not suffering. Listen, Marie, I gave you a lot, but I'm going to give you a lot on this end. I can respect that, and I feel like you are a good mother. And she said that, she even said that, she said my kids are spoiled. And she said, my goal was to give them everything that I didn't have. She said, but to the detriment of them being good people. She said, my kids are spoiled. And they expect it now. They don't appreciate it. They expect it because they've always gotten it. And it's unfortunate because that is the thin line that we walk. We want our kids to do better than what we did. We want our kids to have what we didn't have. But it is a thin line. It's a thin line. And especially when you have it, it's easy to say no when you ain't got it. But when you have it, it's hard to say no. Anyway, so I'm going to get back to Maria and them in a second. So Letitia hooked up with Tambra, and they went down to City Hall, and they met with Tambra's cousin. He's a city council member down to the Keither Stamps. Okay, I want to make sure I got the name right. And they met down to the City Hall, and Letitia, outlined her wants, the building that she wanted, and her reasoning for wanting it, and what it was that she wanted to do, and what her vision was. And he told her, he said, listen, this is what you got to do. We're going to walk you through the process. We're going to hold your hand. He said, I believe in what you're trying to do. He said, it's a lot. I'm telling you now, the process isn't going to be easy. It's a long process. He said, but I will be there for you as long as you are going through it. I will be there to help you walk through it. Every step of the way. Every step of the way, I will be there for you. And what he said was, listen, the more and more I hear this story, the more engrossed in this story I get. Farish Street was the second largest black economy in its heyday, only second to Harlem. I need y'all to hear that again. In its heyday, it was the second largest black economy second to Harlem. So when we talk about historical, I mean, this is historical on a level that I didn't see. And the one thing that I can say that I'm appreciating about this show, and I said this in my first review, we are not losing focus. Every episode, we are hearing more and more about her vision, and we're seeing her working towards this goal. The only thing that's missing now is that she hasn't been able to get the ladies on board and build this conglomerate that she was trying to build with the in the beginning. But she is still moving forward, and even to the point where after she had the meeting with the Keither, she had a moment. I mean, she was crying, and she was filled up because she is seeing the future. She's seeing the vision, and she's seeing the future. And I'm here for it. Again, we got these other side stories going on, and yeah, we got the drama and all of that. But the one thing that I always was disappointed with Love and Marriage Huntsville is that we got away from the comeback group vision. Now, I think this season, and we'll get to Love and Marriage in another review, but I think this season we're coming back around to it, but not as the comeback group, but just as the individuals doing what they had already set out to do. But we'll get back to them. That's another review, y'all, for another time. Now, Marie had a meeting. She set up a meeting with her son. Her husband is there, and her business partner is coming around. Now, the husband, he's got an issue with the fact that the business partner was invited, because he's basically like, listen, this is family business. Why is she involved? Now, Marie is talking to the husband before the business partner get there, and Marie said, listen, part of the problem and part of the reason why these kids think that they can run around here and act however they want to act and talk to me however they want to talk to me is because you do it. She said, you ain't come home last night. What's that about? And he said, well, I stayed at the other spot. She said, okay, you stayed at the other spot? Uh-huh. But what about the night before that? You didn't come home then either. What's that about? She said, listen, now her two oldest sons have a different father. Her daughter is with this husband. And she said, listen, when we got married, he had his own place, I had my own place. When we got married, we bought a house together, and he still got his house, and I guess she still has her house, but it sounds like ain't nobody living in his house. It's just sitting there as his little when I don't want to go home spot. And she said the reason why they got divorced the first time is because of infidelity. And she said, I'm no fool. Like, I'm not stupid. I think right now she just ain't got the energy. You raising 3 kids that ain't yours on top of the 3 kids that are yours. You ain't got time for another child. And I think, honestly, she just don't have the energy to deal with him. Like, I think she knows exactly what's going on with him, and she understands exactly what he's doing. She ain't got the energy to deal with it. It ain't in her. It ain't in her right now. She ain't got it. So Essie, the business partner, comes through, and Essie says, listen, I have every right to be here to have this conversation with the son, because half of everything Marie owns is mine, because we business partners. Now, I don't know if that was the best way of wording that, because I don't agree with that, because half of her business is yours, because y'all are business partners, but not half of everything she owns. I'm sure her house, her car, her other investments, her bank accounts, all that don't belong to you, ma'am. Half of that don't belong to you. Now, what you probably wanted to say was, I have every right to be here because it's my shoulder that she cry on when your ass don't come home, and when she hear about you out there running them streets with other women, and when her son cussing her out, you ain't, because he wasn't home when this happened with the son. He wasn't in the house. So when her son is cussing her out, I'm the one that she calls. See, that's probably what she wanted to say, but that ain't what she said. But what she said wasn't right either. And the husband was like, see, nah. So that gave the husband a place to argue, talking about something, everything she owned, half of everything she owned. What you trying to say? What's that supposed to mean? And Marie was like, listen, we'll deal with this later, because old boy is at the door. So her son comes in there. Her son, the first thing I noticed, that her son is very tall. And we find out in the conversation that her son was supposed to be playing basketball. I don't know if he had a college scholarship or he was going to try to walk on a team, but he was out of condition. So part of the plan, she said, we had come up with a plan. And part of the plan was that he was going to spend a year getting back in shape, getting in his conditioning at Jackson State, and then they would look at him transferring to another school and playing basketball. But this year was supposed to be him staying home Not just because of the kids, but also because he wasn't in basketball shape. Here's my first problem. When that boy walked in the door, the first thing out his mouth should have been, Mama, I'm sorry. But he didn't. They had a whole conversation before they got to the situation. And Marie went through the whole thing about how she felt and what hurt her and everything. Marie is over there crying. I mean, bawling. Okay? Bawling. And the boy gonna say, Jerez, whatever the son name is, he gonna say, well, let me just tell it from my perspective. You don't have no perspective, sir. You cussed your mama out. There's no perspective to that. You cussed your mama out. Ain't no perspective to that. What perspective is it to... Let me say it one more time. You cussed your mama out. What's the perspective to that? You punched a hole right next to your mama's head. What is the perspective to that? Anyway, he does eventually apologize, but that was after being told that you owe your mom an apology. And he said, and she says, well, we need to figure out, we really need to get your anger under control, because you should let nobody, no matter who it is, even if it's me, let you get your anger that far out of control. Listen, that conversation went a whole lot nicer than I would have expected the conversation to go. My thing is, I don't understand why the first thing out your mouth wasn't, Mama, I'm sorry. I don't understand why somebody need to explain to you why you need to be close by your children. And like I said in my review last week, he lost, in my mind, he lost that ability when he went out here and made 3 children in 1 year. You need to be working at a full-time job, going to school part-time. All that going to school full-time wouldn't even be an option. At least not that I'm paying for. No man pay him. Now Marie did tell them baby mamas, you need to put him on child support. Now she did tell them that. She said, you need to do what you got to do. Because I don't mind helping, but I'm not going to replace his responsibility. And he has a responsibility to you. And she did tell them women that. And I ain't mad at her. I done told them women the same damn thing. Put his ass on child support. Especially when they said, well, when I call him, he won't answer the phone. And he doesn't return my phone calls. Oh, well, he not even trying. Nope. But anyway, y'all, we'll see. Looks like they end up going to counseling next week. We'll see. But that whole situation hit me in my spirit, because I ain't here for it. I ain't here for it. Y'all let me know what y'all think, though. Drop it in the comments. Peace.